Now, creating this 5-point Euro pleat is quite easy to do. Now, the first thing that you will do is stitch down your pleats. And depending on your preference, you will stitch them down like 2.5 to 3 inches. Now, because we are going to be stitching the prongs at the top, I have not added any buckram to this heading. Now, in the pleat itself, I have 5 inches, and I want to divide this 5 inches into 5 equal sections. And I do that by taking my little ruler, and I will align it with the seam line, and I will place a pin at the 1 inch and at the 2 inch mark. I will turn my pleat over, and I will repeat that, making sure that I have a pin. I've got, well, on this time I have the 2 inch aligned with my stitching line, and I have placed a pin at the 1 inch and at the end of the 1 inch. Okay, that now gives me 5 equal sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now you're going to take a needle and thread. And you can see my needle is threaded with is double strands, and I have a knot at the end. Now I will be using a celandine thread. And celandine thread happens to be a waxed skein, and it's perfect for hand sewing, and it's very durable. Okay. Well, with my needle, I am going to open up my pleat here, and I'm going to begin right at the seam that I have stitched, my stitching line, I should say. And I put my needle in, and I'm just going to pick up probably about maybe 1/8 of an inch. Be careful because these pins will get in our way for a few moments. I'll pull through, and I'm going to go to the first pin, and I'm going to insert my needle to the back, and I'm going to come down about 1/8 of an inch and pull my needle through. I can get rid of that pin. Then I'm going to go back in right next to that thread about 1/8 of an inch. Okay. Then I'm going to go to the next pin and repeat that process, coming in about 1/8 of an inch down. Can get rid of that pin. And yes, the thread will want to wrap itself around the others pins there. Okay, and again, I'm going to go down about, I'll go over about 1/8 of an inch, come through, rotate to the next pin, repeat the process, 1/8 of an inch down, get a pin, going in about 1/8 of an inch, okay, rotate around, and coming in one more time, making that 1/8 of an inch stitch. Okay. Pulling the needle through. And now I can rotate my pleat around so I can see on the inside again. And I'm going to take my needle up close to the starting stitch and run my needle through one more time. And then I'm going to wrap the thread around my fingers so I have a good grip. Then I'm going to begin cinching up the thread. And you may have to stop and begin by maneuvering the pleats a little bit. Okay. Sometimes I just grab them and hold them, and then I'll pull that thread, okay, and cinch it down, right? And you'll see how it begins, the little prongs begin to form, right? Now I'm going to unravel my thread, and you see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pleats. I'm going to take my needle and my center pleat, prong, whatever you want to call it, I will just grab the top edge here, about a 1/16 of an inch. Now where I'm running my needle through, that happens to be the area that I did the little 1/8 of an inch stitch where my needle, where my pins were before, okay? So I'm going to take that and again wrap around my needles and give it a tight pull. And I'm holding it tight with my left hand. And I'm going to come back to my center where my stitching is. I'm going to pick that up. Okay. Then I'm going to pull it tight again. And then I'm going to go to the right-hand side of that pleat. I'm going to catch the top of my fabric, again in the same area where I made the 1/8 of an inch stitch. I'm going to give it a nice tight pull. You can see how it's pulling it together. Go back through that center, picking up that top. Okay, pulling it tight. Okay, you see how it's pulled it tight to the center. Now that's my center pleat. And now I'm going to go to, here's my center. I'm going to go to the pleat on the right of the center, pick up just the top. I mean, it's just a little tiny, like I said, a 1/16 of an inch, and pull that tight. And this time I'm going to go to the pleat to the left of the center, and I'm going to pick up that area, a 1/16 of an inch, and again, same thing. That's where I made my 1/4 inch, my 1/8 of an inch stitch in between. And I'm going to give it a nice pull. Okay, and pull, and you can see how the pleat is starting to all cinch together to make a little, looks like a little flower, doesn't it? Okay, all right, now I can go back to my center. Okay. Go back to my center. And give it a nice pull. Okay. And you can just use your fingers, like I said, to smooth it out. And then I'm going to go here to the other side of the pleat on the right-hand side. And it's actually right where my seam is. And I'm going to just pull that together. Okay. And you can see, because this celandine thread is so small, it really does hide some of the thread. Okay. Now I want to pull that center. It's really not 100% necessary, but I want to pull that side of the right-hand side of that center pleat a little tighter. So I'm going to go through that top one more time. That piece did loosen up a little bit. Okay. Pull it tight. Again, and this time I'll bring it back to the right-hand side of my center. Okay, and I'm going to pull it nice and tight, and then I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to run it under like some of those threads in the center. I'm going to begin tying it off. I'm going to run it here. Run it one more time. Okay, and this time I'm going to run my needle up through my thread. Okay, make sure I have both of them. It's going to knot it, and you can do it one more time. Run it through, and run it through these two loops. Give it a nice little knot. Pull it real tight. And then to tie it off, you can just take your needle and you can just run it down inside of the fabric and poke it out anywhere you like. Give it a pull. And then as you pull it, you can pull that thread, and then you can, with a pair of scissors, snip it off. But don't cut your fabric. Snip it real close to the end there. And then you can just kind of rub it, and the tail of your thread will be hidden inside the fabric. And there you go. There is your 5-point hand-sewn Euro pleat.